Hi, in this video I'll be showing you how to make the leg. We will make two of these. First, let's make the magic ring. On the mini loom, grab a rubber band and wrap it around the mini loom 3 times. Now we have our magic ring. On round 1, we will put 6 single stitch on this magic ring. So 1 single stitch, pull to the side, and then make another single stitch, then pull to the side, third single stitch, pull to the side, fourth single stitch. We can now remove this from the mini loom, then continue. We still have to put 2 more, so 1 or the 5th single stitch and 6 single stitch. Now we have completed our round 1. You should end up having 6 chains. On round 2, the pattern is increase on each chain. So 2 single stitch on each chain. On the first chain, grab a rubber band, pull through, make a loop, then pull through, then on the same chain, make another single stitch, then another on the second chain, 2 single stitch, so 1, 2. I will fast forward the video and continue finishing off the round. Now we're done with round 2. You should end up having 12 chains. Let's put a stitch marker on the last stitch. For round 3, the pattern is increase in every second chain, and you will repeat that 6 times. So 1 single stitch on the first chain, then 2 single stitch on the second chain. One single stitch, then 2 single stitch. Now pause the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. For round 4, the pattern is increase in every third chain. So 1, 2, and increase in the third. Repeat this pattern 6 times. So 1 single stitch, 1 single stitch, then 2 single stitch. then back to one single stitch, one single stitch, then two single stitch. Repeat this pattern 4 more times. Pause the video and come back when you're done. For round 5, the pattern is one single stitch on each chain. One, two, three. You should end up having 24 chains. Now pause the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. For round 6, the pattern is increase in every 12th chain. So 1 to 11, then increase on the 12th, then one single stitch in the next 11 chains, then increase on the 12th. So let's transfer the stitch marker to the last stitch. So one single stitch, two, three, four single stitch, five single stitch, six single stitch, seven single stitch, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then two single stitch on a 12th chain. So 1, 2. Finish off the round and come back when you're done. For round 7, 8, and 9, we will do the same patterns, one single stitch on each chain. So one single stitch, two. Now pause the video, finish off the 3 rounds, and come back when you're done. We're now in round 10. The pattern is stitch 2 chains together, the first and the second chain, then one single stitch in the next 11 chain. To stitch together, insert your hook on the 2 chains like this, then grab a rubber band, pull through the 2 chains, then make a loop, then hook the first loop, then pull through the other 2 loops. That's how we SC2 to or stitch 2 chains together. Next, we will put 11 single stitch in the 11 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So The next we will stitch together the next 2 chains. Like that. Then 1 single stitch in the last 11 chains. I'll fast forward the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. Let's transfer the stitch marker. Now for round 11, the pattern is 1 single stitch in the first 5 chains. Then stitch together the next 2 chains. Then 1 single stitch on the next 10 chains. And then stitch together the next 2 chains. And again 1 single stitch on the last 5 chains. You should end up having 22 chains. So 1 single stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, next stitch together the next 2 chains. Then 1 single stitch on the next 11 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then stitch together the next 2 chains. Then 1 single stitch on the last 5 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's transfer our stitch marker to the last stitch. For round 12, the pattern is stitch together the first 2 chains. Then 1 single stitch on the next 9 chains. Then stitch together, then 1 single stitch on the last 9 chains. So stitch together, that. Then one single stitch on the next 9 chains. Nine. Then stitch the next 2 chains together. Now finish off the round with 9 single stitch and come back when you're done. For round 13, the pattern is 1 single stitch on each chain. So you must end up having 20 chains. Now pause the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. Now we will be working with rows. So we need to slip stitch the last stitch like this. Grab the other loop and then slip stitch. We will be working with rows, so turn your work and then we will work backwards. The pattern is 1 single stitch on the 15 chains. So 1, 2. Now pause the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. For row 15, again we need to slip stitch the last stitch, then turn. We will work the other way. Then the pattern is 1 single stitch on the next 13 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Finish off the row with a slip stitch. Like this. And then turn, work the other way. Then for row 16, the pattern is 1 single stitch on the next 11 chains. So skip the 1 and put 11 single stitch. 1, 2, now pause the video, finish off the row, and slip stitch on the last chain, then come back when you're done. For row 17, the pattern is 1 single stitch on the next 9 chains, then slip stitch the last stitch. So 1, 2, now pause the video, come back when you're done. Before we continue with let's slip stitch the last chain. Let's turn to the back, the other side. We will put one single stitch in the next 11 chains. So 1, 2. We will slip stitch also the last stitch. Here we will slip stitch the 7th chain up. Then turn again. This is row 19. The pattern is one single stitch and the next 5 chains. Do not slip stitch your last stitch because we will be working again with the rounds. Now we will put a C clip on our last stitch. Now we will again decrease the round and we will put stuffings. So for round 20 pattern is let's put a C clip first. We will again making rounds. Stitch 2 together, 1 single stitch, 2 together, 1 single stitch, stitch 2 together, 1, stitch 2 together, then 1 single stitch, stitch 2 together, then 1 single stitch, stitch 2, then 1, then stitch together. Make sure that you have 19 chains. So now let's stitch together the first 2 chains. So 1 and 2, grab a rubber band, pull through, make a loop, then hook the first loop and pull through the other 2 loops. Then 1 single stitch, again stitch together, then 1 single stitch in the next chain, stitch together, then 1 single stitch, then stitch together, then 1 single stitch, Then stitch together. One single stitch. Stitch together again. Then one single stitch. And lastly, stitch together. Now we're done with round 20. Transfer our stitch marker. You should end up having 12 chains. Now we would shift the color to yellow, and on round 21 the pattern is one single stitch on each chain. Now pause the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. For round 22, the pattern is stitch 2 together, then one single stitch on the next 4 chains, and then stitch 2 together, and one single stitch on the last 4 chains. So stitch together, then one single stitch on the next 4 chains. Two, 3, 4. Then back to stitch together, then one single stitch on the last 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's transfer stitch marker to the last stitch. You should end up having 10 chains. For round 23 to 28, the pattern is one single stitch on each chain. So it will be 6 rounds of yellow with 10 chains each. Now pause the video, finish off the 6 rounds, and come back when you're done. It should look like this. For the next round, round 29 to 32, we will be using the pink color. So 4 rounds of pink. The pattern is 1 single stitch on each chain. So 1, 2. Now pause the video, finish off the round, and come back when you're done. Now we're done with round 32. Let's put stuffings